Hello, all you kings, queens, and those in between, and welcome to the very first episode of the Busted Limes podcast. I'm your host, Paresh Maharaj, and unfortunately, my co host, who has requested to remain nameless for now, couldn't make it for this intro, so I'm flying solo just for today. So, what is the Busted Limes podcast about? It's simple, really. It's just me and my co host shooting the shit about any topics that interest us. And what did we decide to talk about for our first episode? Well, to begin, I have to give some background information first. My co host is my younger cousin, so by virtue of being related to me, he developed an interest in anime. So when he signed up for a Funimation Now account and asked me for recommendations, the first thing I told him to check out was the masterpiece Cowboy Bebop. He managed to binge the entire series while on a road trip, and the episode you're about to hear is his reaction to the series a couple of days after he finished it. Naturally, there will be spoilers for this series, and detours into the director's other works, similar series, and a certain Star Wars TV show that also concerns bounty hunters. So, now that we have everybody in the stuff together, let's jam.
Yeah.
So, Cowboy Bebop.
Oh God, yes. So how was it?
It was so good. I mean, obviously, I've heard people talking about it forever, just saying like, oh yeah, it's a masterpiece, best anime ever. But it's like, most of the time when people describe something like that, it doesn't live up to the hype.
Right.
Cowboy Bebop basically confirms with it by the end of the first episode that it deserves its reputation.
Oh, really? The first episode?
By the end of the
Yeah.
first episode is really what hooked me. Like, I mean, I had like a 7-hour drive ahead of me anyway, so I was going to binge as much as I could anyway.
Right.
But like the end of the first episode is so good because it's like, for context, all I knew going into it was that it's a show about space bounty hunters and Spike dies.
Spike dies at the end,
That's
yeah.
literally all I knew about it going in. So like when I realized at the end of the episode, I was like, oh, this is about a bunch of bounty hunters that are actually good people, and hey, they're basically never actually get the bounty that they're after because everything is tragic. I was like, oh shit, this is actually a really interesting take on this genre. Especially since it did kind of catch me off guard that like the people he was after did just straight up die before he could get the bounty. And then like at the end where it's basically just like a replay of the conversation that happened at the beginning, and it's like, oh yeah, this isn't like going to be an overextending the plot. That was just a day in the life for them. That was like, oh shit, this is really good. Yeah.
The first episode. That's the one about Red Eye, right?
Yeah, Red Eye.
So,
Yeah, and one thing that really got to me is how well it's aged. Like the animation is amazing, but also the dub is
yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
the dub is so well done. Like it even like stands up against dubs that are happening now.
Right. Exactly.
Like
yeah.
I remember growing up watching stuff on Toonami. Like I was watching like Naruto and the 4Kids dub of One Piece. Like it's aged way better than those as well.
Yeah. That's not saying much, but yeah.
I agree that it's not saying much, but it's also just it goes to show that like even in the late 90s the bar for English dubbing was so low.
Yeah, and then Cowboy Bebop came
Right.
along and blew everything out of the water.
Like the way they did Cowboy Bebop, from what I can tell, is basically how they do it now, more or less.
Yep.
Which is saying a lot.
Yep.
Yeah. And also just like the writing is so great. Like the animation is top notch the whole way through, which
Right.
admittedly is probably because they only had a set number of episodes they were doing, so they didn't have to worry about running out of budget. But like the writing is so great, and I think again part of what makes the writing so good is they knew they were only going to do 26 episodes. Which actually, interesting side note about that, apparently it almost got canceled halfway through when it initially aired in Japan because there were some school violence incidents and Cowboy Bebop was the scapegoat.
Oh wow, I did not know about that.
Yeah, seriously. So like Cowboy Bebop almost didn't make it.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, that almost happened, but of course, Cowboy Bebop survived.
Yep.
Yeah, but also the writing is so good because even though it's episodic and like each episode is self-contained, like it still has the character development carry through, and like once Vicious shows up, that the Red Dragons are still happening in the background. Which, oh my god, Vicious, he literally only shows up 3 times in the series, but he's so good as a villain.
Oh yeah, he has a very powerful presence.
Oh yeah, I think part of what makes him such a great villain is that, part of what I think makes the writing in this show so good is like with the world building. It doesn't really tell you anything. It's a lot of show don't tell. Like you kind of have to piece everything together through like random things people say in flashbacks. But like one thing I think that makes Vicious work so well as a rival and a villain is that yes, when he first shows up, he kills someone, but like, and that person's connected to Spike, but you don't find that out until much later. And I think what makes him so good as a villain is that before you even really know anything about him other than he's an evil motherfucker that kills people with a sword, is you see how he affects Spike once he shows up. Like, that is the most serious Spike has been up until that point in the series.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, one thing I realized, because, like, for context, I watched it 13 episodes at a time.
Right.
So, like, aside from just using his gun, like, to just kind of point people and, like, threaten them, that, when he goes into the cathedral to fight Vicious and the Red Dragons, that is the first time he kills anybody with a gun in the series. Not counting the flashbacks.
Not counting flashbacks, yeah.
That's the first time Spike uses a gun. That's kind of a big deal. And, like, the way Spike gets so serious, and that's also the first time he has any real conflict with Jet. Which is another big thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, you see how much Spike fucking hates this guy. And it just kind of makes you realize how big of a deal he is.
Yep.
And then, of course, you have the standoff at the top of the cathedral and the scene where Spike throws a grenade and falls out of the window, which
While
is just
Greenbird plays.
literal art. Literal fucking art. And then, of course, because Cowboy Bebop is a masterpiece, it immediately turns attention on his head when he wakes up to Faye humming, and she's like, "You're off key."
Fuck you.
Yeah. And yeah, like, initially, I wasn't sure how I felt about Faye because I was afraid. I wasn't really sure how I felt about her character.
Yeah.
But, like, once you learn more about her backstory and, like, you see the hidden depths, you realize, oh, shit, she's, like, one of the most well-written female characters in any anime that I've seen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, that's just a testament to the strong writing.
Right, because it's, like, once you realize that how deep her insecurities run, like, you realize how crazy it is. Like...
All right, so speaking of the Jet, like, how did you like the character interactions between all the crew of the Bebop?
Oh, I loved it because it's like initially they legitimately hate each other, but then it turns into we love each other, but we're a family, so we're also going to give each other shit for everything. Like, and it's funny because it kind of took me a while to realize that was what was happening. It took me a while to realize, oh wait, no, Jet's not actually a sexist, misogynistic piece of shit. He just hurts all the time, and he hides it with aggression.
And cooking.
Yeah.
And taking care of his bonsai trees.
Oh god, the beginning of the first episode where he's like, Spike, dinner. I made green beans, green peppers and beef.
Yeah,
special,
bell peppers and beef.
And he's like, you said this was bell peppers and beef, but there's no beef in it, so you can't really call it bell peppers and beef.
Can you?
Yeah. And then when Spike tells, we don't have any money because every time we get a bounty, we have to pay for all of your collateral damage. Like, that's the perfect establishing character moment for Spike before you even see him do anything. And of course, I would literally die for Ayn.
Yes.
And Ed.
Yes, both of them.
Yes, both of them.
This is especially why Mushroom Samba is my favorite episode, because it's the one that focuses on those two the most. It's
great because it's a comic relief breather episode, but the only people who realize that are Ed and Ayn. Everyone else thinks it's business as usual, and it's not.
And it's because of the mushrooms. Like, I still want to know what conversation Jet was having with his bonsai trees in that episode.
Yeah. Honestly, though, my favorite part of that is that Ed sees Ayn eat the mushroom, realizes, oh, hey, these are probably, like, weird mushrooms. And her first course of action is, well, I'm going to feed it to the entire crew and see what happens. And only after everybody is tripping balls does she decide, oh, yep, these are definitely those illegal mushrooms they were talking about earlier.
And then a car chase happens.
Oh, you mean the best chase in anything ever?
Yes.
Yeah, but also, like, it just constantly tears your heart out as well, especially in the second half of the season. Like, everything from the end of Jupiter Jazz onward is just increased. Yeah. Well, it has a few breather episodes in there, like the fucking episode with Andy the cowboy.
Yes.
God, I could not stop laughing that entire episode.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
So great.
But then also there's some episodes that are just like, at the end, you just I put my phone down, I was like, did I just watch? Like the end of fucking Waltz for Venus.
Oh yeah. That's the one. The guy who's trying to
cure his sister's
blindness,
and he fucking dies at the end of the episode.
Yep.
That was just one of the few times episodes where it's just tragic ending. I'm like, why? No, he deserved better than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Like, I don't know if you agree with me on this. I feel like the entire, like, overarching story of Cowboy Bebop it really is the story of how Spike dies.
Yes.
Like, everything
Yes.
in that entire series, from the moment that he leaves the ship at the beginning of episode 1
Yes.
to go talk to Laughing Bull,
Yes.
is building up to when he goes to face off with Vicious for the final time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to bring up, is
Yeah.
that they tell you from the first episode that he's going to die.
You're right. Well, he even said, I've already died once. What's a second time? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, like, the really tragic thing about Spike is that, like, his whole thing is, his and Julia's thing is they don't know whether their life is a dream or not. Because, like, they're so out of it all the time.
Right.
And, like, for him, it's almost like he says to Faye before he goes off, he has to die in order for him to confirm for himself that he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's executed so well that it doesn't even sound like over-the-top edgy bullshit, because,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
that's like the tragic thing is, like, in the throughout the series, everybody is dealing with their past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jet goes back to whichever planet and meets up with his ex and gets over her. Faye figures out her past and realizes that there's nothing left for her but the Bebop.
Right.
Ed finds her dad and decides to go after him, and Aang goes with her.
Both comic relief characters leaving in one episode.
So yeah, that immediately tells you shit's about to hit the fan. Yeah. And then, but for Spike, he's never able to really confront his past in any meaningful way. The closest he gets is when he finally finds Julia. But then she and Annie get killed, and he realizes I cannot escape from my past. The only way I can face it is by going into a situation that I know is going to kill me.
Kill me. Yep.
And I think the most, like, the thing that really hit me as well is at the end of his final fight with Vicious, Vicious wanted to die too.
Oh, really?
That kind of felt like to me is it's just like, because at the beginning of the fight, Vicious tells him, remember, I'm the only one who can kill you, and Spike goes, yeah, well, the same goes for you. And then at the end, when they've disarmed each other and they're holding each other's weapons, and Spike just tells him, Julia's dead, and Spike says, Vicious says, very well then, and they're like, let's end this, and they toss each other their weapons and hit the killing blow on each other. Like, in that moment, Vicious was okay with dying.
Yep.
Because, like,
Yes.
well, because also, like, through the flashbacks, you can kind of tell there's a love triangle thing going on there.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, what kind of pieced together is Julia was initially Vicious's girlfriend, but she fell for Spike, and that's what caused the issues between them.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, this might be anime blasphemy, but I'm about to say, but
Yeah.
I would be totally fine with a Cowboy Bebop prequel that focuses on Vicious and Spike when they were friends.
Yeah.
Because the thing with the world building is, you could do a prequel without there being too many foregone conclusions other than the main character surviving, because everything is very much, you have to piece it together on your own.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another beautiful thing about Cowboy Bebop, is that the world is so rich and expansive that you could really can just do whatever and just place. You could start any plot anywhere in this universe at any point in time.
Yeah.
And you could still walk away with a quality story, including the time when Vicious and Spike were friends.
Right. And it's funny because, like, the thing is, it's such a classic series that while watching it, I could see parts of it that influenced other things that I've already seen.
See, that's the thing that I've had difficulty doing, is like, I've always see, like, very surface level influences.
Well,
like,
let's
what
put it
kind
this way. Keanu Reeves is a huge Cowboy Bebop fan, and that really influenced John Wick. Tell me you don't see any parallels between the end of Cowboy Bebop and anything John Wick does.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which, speaking of actors that like Cowboy Bebop, now I finally have a reason to be concerned about the Netflix adaptation.
Yes, yeah.
Because one thing I didn't realize is that initially Keanu Reeves wanted to play Spike when they were initially trying to make it as a movie.
Yeah.
Which I would
I
totally
remember
have been
that,
fine with.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, I like John's show. So it's like, I'm fine with him being cast as Spike. But it's like, good casting isn't always enough to save something that's doomed from the start.
Yeah, it's really not.
And my thing with live action adaptations of animes is just that, like, the one thing people need to realize is animation does not hinder the storytelling.
It really doesn't.
Most of the time, it's what facilitates it. Like, nobody.
Spider-Verse.
Exactly. Nobody's going to. I was literally about to say, nobody is going to ask for a live action adaptation of Spider-Verse, because it literally only worked because it was animated. And I think the same thing goes for Cowboy Bebop.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not to say that a live action adaptation couldn't work.
Right.
Like, I think you could still make a good story out of it.
Exactly.
It's just that it's still going to be lacking the charm of the animation. And I think that it's going to be inherently inferior because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Now, that being said, I do eventually want to watch the anime movie.
The movie, yes.
Yeah.
What's it called? I think it's called Knocking on Heaven's Door, or...
I think it was called that in Japan, but like outside Japan,
But
they
it's
just
just
called
called
it Cowboy Bebop the movie.
Yeah.
I
Which Man, if you thought the animation in the show was
Oh,
good.
like I want to see. That's the thing. I want to see what they can do when you give them a feature length,
a movie budget.
give them a movie budget. Give them a movie length. Because like what I'm expecting for the movie to be is basically just like one Cowboy Bebop episode stretched out to movie length.
That's exactly what it is.
Because that's the thing. They do everything that they need to do in each episode without going a minute over. But it's like you could stretch out any of those episodes to an hour long, and I think it would have been fine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
the movie is. It's just Spike chasing after a bounty on Halloween.
My only part of the show that I would say that I legitimately like didn't like,
quote unquote, didn't like. Yeah.
exactly. It's like the episode that was a fucking alien
Brain Scratch.
no, not Brain.
Oh, Toys in the Attic. Toys in the Attic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a bad episode. It was a breather episode where the show didn't need a breather. Like it was still going strong up until that point.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not a bad episode on its own. Compared to everything that comes before. Like compared to, I can't remember all the episodes' name. Cowboy Funk, the Andy episode.
Right.
Like that was a good spot to put a breather episode because I think it's like the episode after or a couple episodes after that is where Ed and Ayn leave and Faye has her big character moments.
Right.
Like that's where you put a breather episodes right before ever all the shit hits the fan.
Right.
Speaking of serious shit, Pierrot Le Fou.
Pierrot Le Fou. Let's talk about
Holy
Pierrot Le Fou.
shit, that episode was one of the ones where I had to put my phone down. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah, that movie, that I call it a movie, but
It
that
could have
episode,
been a movie
It
on
could have
its-
been a movie on its own.
Any
yeah.
episode of Cowboy Bebop could be a movie on its own. It would be, but that episode, oh my god. What do you even say about that episode? The moment Pierrot shows up,
And kills those
it is
people.
terrifying. He walks straight up to these guys and says, "Hello, gentlemen. I've journeyed here to take your lives." It's like, holy fuck.
And then he just straight up air juggles Spike in that one.
Right.
Like, and you feel every hit land.
Yeah.
And like in lesser hands, that scene would have been hilarious, but
Right, like
Yeah.
everything about him should be hilarious, but he's terrifying because he's so out of place.
yes.
Like, she's read someone, one of the things that makes him seem so fucking weird is that his like flying around is mostly done with CGI when everything else around him is animated. So
Right.
he seems uncanny valley compared to anything else.
Right.
Yeah. And the way he dies is just like you feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
crying for his mother and then crushed by a giant animatronic.
Like, damn.
Yeah, and Spike is just like audio, like just staring like in horror the entire time. What the hell is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, that entire episode was just insane.
And you want to so fun fact about the Waltz with Venus one? That's the one that opens with the plane getting hijacked, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so when that, can you imagine how that turned out? When guess the time of year that first air that was supposed to air on Toonami.
Don't fucking tell me. Why
It was a little after 9/11.
Why does literally every single fucking show have like a story about how, oh yeah, we had an episode that involved a plane that we had to postpone because of 9/11? Like, did everybody at the beginning of 2001, apparently literally everybody at the beginning of 2001 thought that hijacking a plane was a good idea for whatever they were doing?
Seemed like a good idea at the time, yes. Because you see, we had these movies like Air Force One.
Right.
It was like, yeah,
Snakes on a plane.
Oh no, that was after.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
I know. It
It
seems
was
longer
like,
ago.
They're probably
but-
just like, okay, we can't have people hijack this plane. What if we had snakes? How high are you right now? Not high enough. Get Sam Jackson on the phone.
I could totally see Sam Jackson playing Jet though.
Oh, I would be so down for that. I mean, you have fucking Afro Samurai playing Jet in the Cowboy Bebop movie. Like, I would be down for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we're having this discussion now. Why the fuck not? Who would play Faye?
Okay. Scarlett Johansson. I'm kidding.
Funny, I was about to say Emma Stone.
I mean, I can see that too.
Well, that's funny. I could see that, but also like she's also gotten shit for playing an Asian character.
Right.
But the difference
Oh,
is
yeah.
she apologized,
Right.
which is kind of a too little, too late situation. You know what's the stupid thing about that movie where she played an Asian character?
Oh yeah, Aloha.
Yeah, her
that-
character was supposed to be a quarter Vietnamese. That was the way they got around casting her in that role.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it
Wow.
doesn't excuse it at all.
Okay, so serious question. Okay, so Faye is revealed to be born in Singapore. So
Right.
who would? You think? Well, this is just my bias because I just don't know many other Asian actresses. But Kelly Marie Tran.
I would be down for that. Honestly, just straight up, I feel like they should go with like a young unknown actress for that role.
How old is Faye in the show?
She's supposed to be, biologically, she's like 22.
Oh.
22 or 23.
Oh, okay. Then, okay, yeah. Yeah, some on...
Because she's supposed to be 20 when she wakes up from the cryo sleep.
Okay.
But I would be fine with them playing like an older actress just because, you know?
Exactly. Just because, get that experience, too.
Yeah. For Ed. God, who could even play Ed?
No one that we know.
Yeah,
honestly, you would have to go digging for that.
You have to do a young unknown. And I'm sure that there are scores and scores of well-trained Welsh Corgi actors just waiting for their breakout role as Ein.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean...
Honestly, Ein, you could probably have to go with an animatronic, a little bit of CGI in there to capture the fact that, like, he's intelligent.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, so just a few CGI heads. But,
honestly, like, let's acknowledge that Ein is the smartest member of the Bebop.
We're smarter than Ed?
More common sense than Ed, if nothing else.
Okay. Okay,
in DDD terms, wisdom was Ed's dump stat, but she put everything into intelligence and dex. Ein maxed her wisdom, but doesn't have enough intelligence to speak.
When in doubt, explain everything through D&D.
Right. Yeah. I appreciate that Spike manages to be like your standard anime protagonist without being like a standard shonen protagonist, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
he has the appetite and the lack of common sense and the fighting skills, but is not like pathetically annoying and stupid the whole time.
Exactly.
Like, at no point do you really have to question, holy shit, how has Spike survived this long?
Oh my god, the part that really nailed that hole for me was in the episode Heavy Metal Queen.
Oh yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah, where he just like, you know what? I'm just gonna jump to you.
Right.
Like through space? Yep, through space.
He's like, don't worry. As like much work as we put into the show, we're not actually obeying the way physics work in space. I'll be fine.
But yes, Heavy Metal Queen was good.
That was a good episode.
It opens with Spike nursing a hangover.
Right? And it just goes uphill from there.
Yes.
God. Also, it's just the little things I like about a show like this. Like, this is the kind of stuff I enjoy, is like cowboy being slang for bounty hunter.
Right.
Like little things like that make everything in the show feel like it fits into the world. Like that's like one of those things that conveys like, yes, bounty hunters are commonplace enough that we have slang to discuss them.
Right.
And then the fucking Big Shot, the show.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about that.
That is like comic relief and exposition woven together so well.
Into the world building,
it's woven into the world so well that literally at one point in one episode phase, like, come on guys, we're missing Big Shot. And they turn it on mid-episode.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that to me, I don't know if it's like intentional or not, but that reminded me of like in My Hero, every time a new character shows up, Present Mike does a voiceover explaining their work.
Yes.
Yeah. And then like near the end of the show, like I don't know if it's in the same episode that Ed leaves or not, but the show gets canceled.
Yes.
And then you actually see like the guy in the last episode picking up his mother.
He's Indian.
And he picks up his mother from the airport. And Faye's like, that guy looks familiar.
And then
like the show really drives home is like, yes, literally all of the comic relief characters are gone and serious.
Yes.
No more happiness.
Darkness.
Oh god, and when Spike leaves the Bebop for the last time and the sad version of the end credits song starts playing.
Is that the end credits?
Well, the
Real Folk Blues.
Well, it's like the slower version of it starts playing, and you're like, oh shit, this really is the end.
I thought it was Call Me that played during... It's the scene where they're eating eggs, right?
No, it's after that when he leaves.
Oh, after.
Call Me plays when they're eating eggs and Ed leaves. I'm talking about in the end of Real Folk Blues Part 2.
Ah, okay.
When CU Space Cowboy starts playing.
Right.
Because it's like equal but complete opposite energy to the opening theme playing during the finale.
Yes.
Because it's conveying something totally opposite.
Yep.
God.
You're going to carry that weight.
Yeah.
So the director really intended for the ending to be ambiguous?
Yeah, so apparently at the end it's supposed to be up to the audience to decide whether Spike is dying or if he's just passed out. Because, I mean, the thing is, it's like, there have been other episodes in this show where he just passes out at the end and then he wakes up in bandages.
Right, exactly.
So it's up to the audience to decide whether that happens after the credit rolls or not. But, like I was saying, I don't think it works if that's not Spike dying.
Yeah, it really doesn't, because, like, you just cut off all the ties with your chosen family, and...
Yeah, to go die for your...
For your closure, basically.
Right. Yeah. Which is like, Spike's biggest flaw is that he can't get away from his past. Like, I don't think it works for... I don't think it's fair to his character arc. It's a cop-out if he survives at the end of that.
It really is.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. If Cowboy Bebop lasted more than one season, he would have had to survive the end of that. And, like, that would have been a cop-out.
Yeah.
Like, now, granted, like, I feel like, you know, maybe the people who made the show would have been able to come up with a way to make that work. Like, I mean, look at John Wick.
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
we expected the third one to be the end, and then they left a sequel hook and said, yeah, we're making a fourth one. And, like, we felt like, okay, yeah, you earned that.
Yes.
You did a good enough job that we could make a sequel. As, like I've said, like, look at the fucking MCU. Like, their quality of a movie has been more or less consistent since 2016.
Right.
Like, regardless of
Yeah.
whether you think that means they're good or not, they've been consistent. So, like, I don't have a problem with them continuing past Endgame. But, like, the end of Cowboy Bebop is the end of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Also, another thing, apparently there was, like, a manga spin-off adaptation.
Yeah,
But,
there
like, they
was,
started
yeah.
it, they literally started making it when episode 2 had come out. So, like, it basically almost immediately diverges from the show. Yeah, it's
never knew
literally just
about
its own continuity. And the interesting thing about that is it got canceled before it could reach the end. So that's basically an alternate continuity where Spike never goes to face Vicious and dies that way.
Interesting.
I might read it just to see how it is. But it's like, yeah, basically picture like a manga adaptation where it's like all they have to go off of was like the basic character descriptions and whatever happened up through episode 2.
Wow.
Like, I'm just curious to see how that ended up playing out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting to think about.
Yeah, because, like, I'm sure even the characterization would be different, too. Which also, by the way, like, just... It's no freaking wonder that this was Steve Bloom's breakout role, because he plays Spike to perfection.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Because before this, he was just doing bit parts and...
Right.
I think before this, his last... Well, the earliest named, like, lead role that I remember was Onizuka from Great Teacher Onizuka.
Huh.
But that... But yeah, this one was definitely the one that made him a household name, and I just find it still mind-blowing just how that this is the English dub, still the standard by which all English dubs are judged.
Yeah. And it should be, because it's so damn good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I've actually tried listening to the Japanese version, and it's just like...
So
offense.
funny thing about that, I think I'm going to actually rewatch Toys in the Attic. 'Cause I think one of the things I disliked about it is because, like, I downloaded the episodes to watch them, right? Because, like, you know, spotty reception. So for some fucking reason, Toys in the Attic downloaded in Japanese, but everything else downloaded in English. So that's, like, the only episode of the show that I've watched in Japanese.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you actually did get to hear a bit of the Japanese...
So it was jarring for me, but it's like... It kind of made me realize how spot on most of the English casting was. That is, like, I listened to Japan and I immediately knew who was talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But also for me, one thing with Steve Bloom is it's like, it's so recognizably a Steve Bloom voice role, but it's also just like, he totally disappears into the character.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, there are a couple points where like he says something a certain way, I'm like, oh, there's a Steve Bloom. Yep.
Like, do you know any specific examples?
I can't really think of anything, but it's just like a specific, like, the intonation is.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking there's that one of his classic lines was, Jet, there are 3 things that I hate.
Oh, yeah.
Kids? Was it animals?
It's pets, kids, and women with attitudes. All 3 are on this ship now.
Yeah.
It was like, you have allowed all 3 onto this ship.
Yeah, so now what are all 3 of them doing on my ship?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the Bebop is Jet's ship, not Cap. I feel like that kind of gets overshadowed in the first few episodes.
That's true.
But then later on, like, Jet kind of puts his foot down. And he's like, remember, this is my ship. You're my partner, not the other way around.
Right.
Oh, God, I love the episode where he goes to meet Doohan.
Oh, is that the one? That's the Jet focused one. God, what's the name of that episode?
That's the Spike Focus episode where he goes to meet the guy who built his ship.
Right.
That's the end where he pulls out the fucking space shuttle to come help him.
Because I mean, that's how you know that you found a.
That's such a good episode.
Bro code.
Yeah, and my favorite part is that the part where Spike thinks he's about to burn up in the atmosphere and he just lights his cigarette. He's like, "Hey Jet, I hid a bottle of whiskey behind the fridge. It's all yours." And then Doohan's, but like nothing about that scene tonally indicates that Spike's about to die.
Right.
They're all just taking it kind of, and Spike's so laid back about dying in that scene that kind of also indicates that it's like, no, he's been ready to die ever since he and Julia got split up.
Right.
Which let's talk about Julia, shall we?
She deserved better.
She deserves so much better. It's like, I feel like it's interesting because it's like she doesn't really get any dialogue or do anything up until literally the last 2 episodes of the series. But she has such a presence throughout the series that it's like, I don't know. It's like, in any other show, I feel like people would criticize the show for like fridging or say she wasn't even really a character. But like, she's even though she's not just a plot device, she really is her own person.
She really is, yeah.
And I think that all of that is what makes her death that much more tragic. Is that it's not a death where it's like she deserves better, as in she was written badly.
She like the way she was written fine.
Like,
It's just
it's her character does deserve better, but that is the tragedy of her character.
of her character.
She deserves better because she's a tragic character. She doesn't deserve better because she was poorly written.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And the same goes for Spike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Like that whole like monologue he has about how he has a fake eye and like one eye only sees the past and one eye only sees the present.
Yep.
And it's like he can't look ahead because he's so stuck in the now and on what happened to him with Vicious and Julia.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, did they reveal that before or after the Greenbird scene where they push him, where he throws the grenade?
Well, I mean, there's a flashback where he's talking to Julia and she mentions that, but she only mentions the part where it's like your eyes are different colors.
Oh, okay.
But it's only like in that scene where he's talking to Faye that he explains the different colored eye is fake.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I bring that up is because you notice that they zoom in on different eyes.
They zoom in, yeah.
On different eyes while he's falling out of the window. So it's like, yeah. It represents the... Shoot.
And that's another thing that comes back to is just like, I don't think you can convey that with real people as well as you can with animation.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
No.
Live action is so limited with stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah. And I feel like part of that also is just what makes Cowboy Bebop so good is it's like Spider-Verse in that it uses the animation to the fullest potential and then some. Like it really pushes the limits of what it can do with the animation to make everything work.
Right. Yeah. Because I've seen some 12-episode series that don't look as good as that.
Honestly, like, maybe I shouldn't say this because I haven't seen Evangelion, but I'm going to go ahead and say, like, Cowboy Bebop is what Evangelion fans wish Evangelion was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in terms of, like, a gateway drug to anime...
Cowboy Bebop is much better, yeah.
Right. And in terms of just, like, you know... Honestly, like, before I watched Cowboy Bebop, my, like, recommendation to get people started in anime for people who had never seen anime before would be either Death Note or One Punch Man.
You wouldn't go with My Hero Academia, too? Or...
I wouldn't... Okay, the only reason I wouldn't say My Hero Academia is because it hasn't finished yet.
Oh, okay, right.
And even though One Punch Man did have a season 2, like, season 1 by itself is fine.
It really is, yeah.
Honestly, but, like, I'm hesitant to say Cowboy Bebop because it's like, if Cowboy Bebop is the first anime you watch, how does anything ever measure up to that?
That is a great point. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, you've been watching anime much longer than I have, and you'd seen it way before I did. Like, what is before and after Cowboy Bebop like for you? Because after Cowboy Bebop has been less than a week for me.
Oh my god! So after Cowboy Bebop, it was just a long road towards acceptance that nothing else would measure up. So I was mainly watching comedies after watching Cowboy Bebop because I was just like, you know what, those comedies have their own standard of quality for me. So I might as well just watch those.
But it feels like, and it's like, it's funny because it's like the whole tagline for Cowboy Bebop is like the work that will become a new genre or become its own genre will be called Cowboy Bebop. That tagline was written for the show before it started airing. That's a ballsy fucking comment to make, but then to live up to that so well.
Oh god.
It's like nothing can live up to Cowboy Bebop because nothing else can literally create its own genre in just 26 episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you ever see that gif of Spike where he's saying, "I love be a woman who could kick my ass"?
Yeah,
that's from the movie.
Okay, yeah.
That's from the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't even tell though because the animation is just so good.
But like that's the thing is like they limited themselves enough that they had no limit, if that makes any sense. Like they restricted themselves to 26 episodes, had a budget to fit those 26 episodes, and then did everything it could to make each of those 26 episodes the best they could.
Right.
Right. They didn't overstretch themselves, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. But again, like they didn't have their budget unexpectedly cut halfway through, so that helped too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like they I don't know much about like the behind the scenes stuff of what went into making it, but it
Honestly,
kind of
me neither.
It kind of feels like everything went right with this, which basically
Yeah.
never happens with anime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So some other similar series that you should probably check out if you really enjoyed this one is the same director went on to make
Yeah, he made Samurai Champloo, right?
Samurai Champloo.
Is that still on Netflix?
I don't think so. I know Funimation has the rights though.
Yeah.
Steve Bloom is back.
Right. Yeah. And then didn't he also make Space Dandy?
Yes.
Which is just a parody of Cowboy Bebop, basically, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's a hilarious story behind that. There's this writer for Anime News Network, Jacob Chapman.
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah. He was interviewing Shinichiro Watanabe at a convention, and he asked him, "Are you working on anything new?" Shinichiro Watanabe just started chuckling and said, "You are the first person to ask me that, so you get a treat."
Oh, nice.
And then he calls his crew and just like, show him the video.
Oh, wow.
And so Jacob Chapman got to see footage of Space Dandy before anyone else.
Wow.
Just because he
Holy
asked the
shit.
right question.
Holy shit.
And also, speaking of blazing new trails, Space Dandy was a simuldub that aired on Toonami.
Oh wow, really?
Yes,
Wait,
it was
what
a-
year was that?
Oh,
It was
shoot,
early
what did-
2000s, right?
No. I think it was early 2010, 2000. I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
We're on my freaking computer.
Hang on, I can just.
Type it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Wait, is it serious? Does it seriously say 2000? What?
2014.
2014.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was 2010s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a simuldub that aired on Toonami, and
Yeah.
a lot. It also has this is, you know how Cowboy Bebop is it's kind of a serious story, but with some breather episodes.
Yeah.
That's a breather series with some serious episodes.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So one thing that, so transitioning from Cowboy Bebop and talking about Bounty Hunter. So the Mandalorian. I watched my episode. So the Mandalorian is super good on its own, like because like it kind of transcends Star Wars as a genre, but like because it's
Right.
not a space opera, it's a space
a Western.
western, and it's so good because it just the thing with the Mandalorian is it's like he never takes his mask off. Like there's so much emotion in him because he's the deadpan serious guy who has to like
Right.
sort of open up.
Right.
Like because he's so deadpan, that's where the humor comes from because everything around him is so serious. Like in one episode, somebody is like taunting him about never taking the mask off, and they literally joke is like, "Hey, or what? Are you a Gungan under there? Is that why Yusa no want us to see Yusa face?"
Oh.
That's an actual line in the series.
Oh. Damn.
Yeah, which is delivered by Bill Burr.
Oh.
Yeah, because remember I told you Bill Burr like guest stars in one episode, and it's like. It's an episode, one of those episodes where it's like an ensemble with a lot of guest stars, but he's like the only one who is like not all made up like an alien.
oh, right,
He's just
right,
Bill
right.
Burr with a space gun.
Oh.
It was like, to his credit, he plays the role that he's given well. It was like the great thing about the Mandalorian is that it's just like in my opinion, after just this 8 episodes, the Mandalorian has joined the ranks of like Piccolo and Vegeta as like grumpy adopted space dads. Like literally at the end of
Vegeta's not
well, no,
adopted.
Vegeta has a biological son, so it's like Piccolo and like what are some other characters that are like the grumpy dad who's forced to like take care of a kid?
Aizawa.
Yeah, Aizawa. Yeah. Yeah, no. He's Star Wars Piccolo. Like
Star Wars
literally
Piccolo,
yeah.
yes.
And literally like at near the end of like the season finale, someone straight up tells him like for the foreseeable future, you are the child's father. And there's this kind of moment everyone kind of just looks at him weirdly, but he's just kind of like, all right. Yeah, no.
This is the way.
Yeah, and the thing with Baby Yoda is that like he works so much better like in the show than like as a meme because it's like he's a puppet. So like when he's in motion and everything, like he's much more like full of emotion than just like the reaction images.
Yeah, shout out to the puppeteers for bringing Baby Yoda to life. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You are valid. You are good.
Yeah, if there's
We
one thing
acknowledge
that Star Wars has managed to like consistently do well with, it's the practical effects.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, like the thing with the Mandalorian is that it's like it's basically a voice acting performance because it's like all the emotion comes from his voice, and it's like over the course of the series he becomes less and less of just like trying to be the stoic badass guy, and like because as he cares more for Baby Yoda,
Right.
like you see more as he cares about other people.
How about his physical acting? Because I figured it would be a lot of physical acting.
Oh
too.
yeah, no, but that's all great too. Like he conveys a lot through like the way he moves, like the way he deals with stuff. Because it's like most of the time he's trying to be a stoic badass, but it's like you can tell when he's freaking out about something.
Oh, okay.
Because like he cares about keeping Baby Yoda safe and alive, and it's like that's very difficult to do when you are a bounty hunter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Also, so like one thing I'll tell you, this isn't really a spoiler. Like I know you'll enjoy this.
Yeah.
So like the overarching big bad who shows up near the end of the series is played by Giancarlo Esposito,
Oh, shoot. Who's he?
Gus from Breaking Bad.
Nice.
Like he is the guy who, when he shows up, shit immediately hits the fan.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like he plays his roles to perfection, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yep. Yeah.
And I won't tell you what because this is a spoiler, and I want you to experience this. The final shot of the season is a huge. They take something from the animated series and bring it into the live action show for the first time.
Oh, yeah, I
and
heard about
marked
this.
the fuck out because like when you see what it is, you will understand why I was freaking out so badly. Like it's one of those like deep lore things that like you understand why it's a big deal that they brought this into the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Huh.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
That's good.
Yeah, and of course, like it's Star Wars, so the droids are all great too. Yeah, like IG-11, the assassin droid.
Oh, is he the skinny one that I see in the trailer,
Yeah,
just shooting up
yeah,
everything? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
he's played by Taika Waititi.
Lovely.
It's
Lovely.
fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like so. You know who plays a Mandalorian?
Pedro Pascal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know he was the perfect choice for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else has he done?
He was Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Yeah, he was the Viper in Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Like that's the other role he's really known for.
I
And he's
see.
also going to be the villain in the Wonder Woman sequel.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's him?
He's a dude on the TV. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's like one of those actors who he's a little bit of a chameleon that like you can tell it's him, but he disappears into the role.
Oh, like Gary Oldman.
Yeah, he was all. Well, I mean, it still looks his transformation aren't as like drastic. He was also in the Kingsman sequel, but that movie sucked.
Oh,
Like he was
yeah.
also like one of the only good parts of that movie.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But no, he's a fantastic actor, so I'm glad they were able to get him for this.
That's good. Yeah. All right. Also, some other going back to a series similar to Cowboy Bebop that you should check out. There's also one called it's different director but same vibe and
Yeah.
same tone. It's Michiko and Hachin.
I mean, I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Hey,
Yeah.
is that Black Latino protagonist saves orphan from her abusive family and shenanigans ensue.
I'm sold.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Speaking of anime, I still need to eventually start on My Hero Season 4. Because I feel like I've left it long enough that there's a decent amount for me to binge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my thing with My Hero is that now I like it, but it's like I'm also just a sucker for shonen shows.
Right.
And it's like My Hero, in my opinion, right now is shonen at its best.
Have you seen Demon Slayer?
No.
Okay.
I've heard good things about it and I need to watch it.
Yeah.
But it's like I have the Funimation Now sub, so I
That's
can go
true,
watch
yeah.
it whenever I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, Demon Slayer, I have no worries about whether it'll live up to that reputation or not, because I know you and Eric and Cullen like it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's like, that's generally a good indication to me I'm going to like something.
Yay!
But speaking of which, I still need to get around to watching IBO.
That's on Netflix.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will watch that on Netflix because, like we've discussed, Funimation's web player sucks.
Right.
Yeah, like the only reason I was okay with watching Cowboy Bebop on their service is because I could download the episodes.
Right.
Yeah. Funny, it worked out really well because you can only download 13 videos at a time. So I could literally just download half the season at a time.
There you go.
Yeah. God, you know what really gets me about Cowboy Bebop as well? Is that, like, is that just, like, even though there's not really an overarching plot throughout the episodes and each one is self-contained, it still manages to, like, and I know it's not the only show that's done this, but it's like, when, like, you know, it gets to the end and Vicious shows up again, it doesn't feel like, oh, suddenly we have a plot.
Yeah.
It's because it's like, all of the character development is still building up to all the decisions they make at the end.
Right.
Right. And speaking of, like, how open-ended the ending is, because parts of it are, what do you think happens to Faye and Jet? Because the last we see of them is them, like, basically breaking down when Spike leaves them to go off and die.
Man. I mean, I like to think that they still stay together and they, like, support each other. Good. I like to think that Faye gets over her gambling addiction, but I know that's never going to happen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that eventually Faye stops running away from the fact that she cares about everyone and like stays with the Jet. The thing that gets me is it's just like, honestly, I was a little unhappy that Ed left to go find her dad because he's a shitty father, like unquestionably.
Well, she's also a kid, so she doesn't know what she doesn't really know what
Right, but I mean, like, honestly, like, she kind of gets a tragic ending too because she's like just been told, oh, you belong with your family because they're your family, and so she goes off.
Right.
So like, I don't know. I like to think that maybe Jet goes back for her.
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like maybe she forces Jet to come back for her because she can do that.
Yeah.
God, the end of the episode where she first shows up, where she forces the Bebop to drive back to come pick her up, is so good.
Oh my God. I think that was the first episode of the show that I saw, like, on Toonami.
That's a good episode to start with.
We're edited, yeah. That's another topic. Episodes besides episode 1 that are good starting off points for Cowboy Bebop.
Honestly, I would say start with episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, yep.
Because you have Vicious, you have the falling out of the church scene. It's like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. That was going to be my first pick, too. My other one was going to be Piero LeFou.
That's also a good one. Because I'm trying to think, it's like, are there any post-Jupiter Jazz episodes that I would choose? And that's a good one.
Post-Jupiter. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Piero LeFou and Cowboy Funk, I think, are both good ones.
What did you think of Brain Scratch?
I liked it a lot. Like, I thought it was a departure from, like, the usual kind of episode, but it was still good.
Right. Because
My favorite part of that, though, like, was the part where Jet and Ed are pretending to be father and daughter and like trying to get into the hospital, and he's like, "Why are you here anyway?" And he's like, "Well, you see, it's a very long and tragic story," and it cuts away from them, and it cuts back. He's finishing the story, and both the Jet and the security guard are crying, and the security guard's like, "Yeah, you can go in, go ahead."
Oh my God,
it was so brilliant.
That's amazing. And then also I was gonna say Waltz with Venus is a.
That's the thing. All the episodes are so good. How do you just choose one to show somebody?
No, I'm just saying, what is a different starting one besides episode 1? So,
yeah.
Waltz with Venus, and also, but my last one would be Sympathy for the Devil.
That's the one with the kid who can't hate.
The kid.
Yep. That's a good.
Yeah.
You know what? That might be my answer.
Sympathy for the Devil. Yeah.
Also, like, this is kind of like lame, but also I choose that one because that ends with Spike doing the finger gun bang.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, but also Cowboy Funk is the one where somebody actually says "See you, Space Cowboy." The closest we've gone before that is like the lady in the first episode saying "Adios, Cowboy."
Is there anything from the Cowboy Bebop universe that you wish we had today?
I mean, aside from like the general like spaceships and light speed travel and stuff.
Yeah, because like we said we don't have airports anymore in the Cowboy Bebop universe. We have freaking space. There's spaceports. I think,
yeah.
But I think they just still call them airports, just like how we still say "roll down the window."
Right. Yeah.
But so yeah, that's the one thing that I really wanted to. That I really wish we had today was the spaceports and those.
Oh yeah.
That little voice over the intercom telling you how to adjust to the atmosphere.
Right.
Because next thing you know, you end up like Spike on Venus with
the helium.
Yeah.
God. There's a tiny part of me that hopes they actually had Steve Bloom in the booth with a balloon to do those lines. Like, I know they didn't, because practically that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But, like, just the imagery is still funny to me. Especially since Mary Elizabeth McGlynn would have been the one directing him to do that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Which is funny, because you had mentioned to me that they're actually a couple in real life now.
They are a couple in real life now, yes.
Spike and Julia got their happy ending.
Yay!
It's kind of funny how that works out, though. That, like, which I mean, it makes sense that like people who work in the same industry and are together all the time are eventually gonna, like Travis Willingham and Laura Bailey, for example. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's kind of funny when they actually played love interests and like
and then the ship becomes canon.
Yeah. I don't think Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham have ever played love interest, but I'm pretty sure they've killed each other a few times.
Yeah.
No, they definitely have, because Laura Bailey played Lust
in Full Metal Alchemist,
and then Travis Willingham played Roy Mustang.
So
he literally kills her at one point.
Yes, he does. He does in fact kill her.
Yep.
From a certain point of view, maybe Spike killed Julia.
Don't you dare! Don't you fucking dare! We are not having that discussion right now. Don't you fucking dare! I mean, I would argue that Vicious killed her, since the only reason anything that happens in Real Folk Blues happens is because he tries to overthrow the leadership of the Red Dragon.
Right.
and then they are completely unreasonable and decide that anybody who's ever been associated with Vicious has to die. Even people who very explicitly hate him and are no longer associated with him.
Yeah.
The one part in Real Folk Blues I could not take seriously is when it's like, what, Lin? I'm not Lin, I'm Lin's twin brother, Shin. And it's like, Lin died to save Vicious's life, and Chin died to save Spike's life. It's like, that's a nice touch, but also it's like, why does Lin's twin brother have to have a name that rhymes?
Because parents.
Yeah. It's like, shit, we don't expect to have two of them. Just change the first letter of this one's name. Which is like...
I think that's probably what actually happened.
I mean, I don't know. It's like the same thing like in Star Wars, Luke and Leia being born. It's really... with the amount that science has advanced, surprise twins should not be a medical possibility.
Right.
Right.
Well, keep in mind, this was back when the guy who thought there was no underwear in space was directing the series, so...
Okay, let's be real. Did he think there was no underwear in space, or did he just not want Carrie Fisher wearing underwear when they were shooting those scenes? Which is more likely?
That second one.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, I'm still in no rush to watch Rise of Skywalker, but I am avoiding spoilers just because I want to, like...
Right.
Judge it as I watch it.
Just as you watch it. Okay.
I know going into it, it's not going to live up to, like... At this point, I'm just hoping for it to be as good as Force Awakens.
It's probably going to be the... probably going to be the Return of the Jedi of this generation.
Which is honestly, at this point, I would be fine with that. Like, just... I don't even care at this point. Just take Star Wars behind the shed, please.
For real.
The only Star Wars I have to look forward to is Season 2 of The Mandalorian. I don't care about anything else.
Exactly.
I mean, even though I'm sure I'll enjoy whatever Rian Johnson ends up making, I'm not looking forward to the fan discourse that's going to come from that.
Me neither.
But hey, at least we won't have D&D making a Star Wars show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Glad that they finally expose themselves for how mediocre they really are.
God, yes.
Yeah, no. Star Wars has very much overstayed its welcome, and that is completely Disney's fault.
Yeah, they tried to do that whole one one Star Wars movie a year for...
Yeah, the reason that works for the MCU and not with Star Wars is because the MCU at least has different characters in each movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're ostensibly, like, running multiple franchises at once.
Yeah.
Although with the MCU, I will say that, like, while I will go see any movies that come out between now and then, the only next Marvel movies I'm really looking forward to are, like, Thor 4 and Guardians 3.
Yeah. That's really it.
And then eventually the Far From Home sequel.
Whenever they decide to bring in Kamala Khan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
That's
like,
going to be a Disney Plus.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, after Mandalorian, I don't know what else there is on Disney Plus for me to watch. Because anything else on there that I want to watch, I've probably already seen. Yeah.
You mean you don't want to see all the old racist stuff that Disney used to do?
I mean, I'm glad they're not hiding it. I guess it's like the Warner Brothers thing, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the disclaimer they put, yeah.
Although, sort of the same thing, but apparently CBS cut all the scenes with Donald Trump out of Home Alone 2.
But that was just, they always did that. I mean, it was for the running time. Because apparently the only reason he even had that cameo in the movie in the first place was that it was the condition for them to
use his hotel.
To
yeah,
film.
Which I knew that, but I mean, still, like, a good thing done for the wrong reason is still a good thing.
We shall debate on that endlessly.
Fair enough.
To the end of time.
I mean, I think some of that comes up in Cowboy Bebop too, because it's like the thing with Spike and his gang is that they're all much better people than they give themselves credit for.
Yeah.
And part of the reason they're poor is there are a few times where they'll like pass on a bounty because it's ostensibly the right thing to do.
Right.
Yeah. Which is funny though. It's like there aren't many other series where like the charm of the show is how constantly unsuccessful the main characters are.
It's like, wait, speaking of Spider-Man, this is basically Spider-Man.
Well, that's the thing with Spider-Man is that he succeeds in getting the bad guy, but at the expense of failing at everything else he cares about. That's what makes Peter Parker such a good character.
Right.
Which is something that I feel like they didn't really capture until Far From Home in the MCU.
Right.
Like, they kind of got it at Homecoming, but the thing is just like... I don't want to get into that right now.
And that's where we decided to cut it off. So, yeah, He ended up liking Cowboy Bebop. Big shocker, I know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, then drop a like, give us a follow at soundcloud.com/bustedlimes. That's with a hyphen between busted and limes. Soon we'll be hoping to also be uploading to Stitcher whenever we get a chance. And share this episode with your friends and family, spread the word around, spread the love. This has been the very first episode of the Busted Limes podcast, and we will see you next time, when we will hopefully have a more unique outro.